In this video, I'm going to go through the last 4 problems of lesson 6. And these last 4 problems say to use technology. So for 2 of the questions, I'm going to use Desmos. And for 2 of the questions, I'm going to use Calculate 84 so you can see which one you prefer and which one you want to use. So for problem number 10 and problem number 11, I'm going to go ahead and use Desmos. Nope, actually I was going to change that. I'm going to use Calculate 84. So I'm going to go ahead and split screen with Calculate 84. Always takes a second to pop up. And I was already messing around with the calculator a little bit, so it's already in the y equals. When you open it up, it will probably just look like this. Go ahead and hit y equals. And then in this blank space, we're going to type in this equation. All right, just as it's written, parentheses and all. So x plus 1, I want to square that. In another set of parentheses, I'm going to do x minus 2. Whoops, too many parentheses. Delete. Okay. Maybe. Let's try that one. Oh, there it goes. Okay. Deleted the wrong thing there. Okay, so there we go. All right, x plus 3 and then plus 1. Do a quick double check to make sure that this is in fact the right equation. I know I have been known at times to, it says x plus 3 and I type in x minus 4 because, well, I just did. So this time I'm good. Once you guarantee yourself that the equation is correct, go ahead and hit graph. All right. And now on Notability, I'm going to take a second and I'm going to sketch this function. There's nothing special about this sketch. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just gives you the idea of what the graph looks like. All right, now it says we're supposed to determine the relative maximum over the interval -2 to 0. So I'm going to make this calculator do my work for me. I'm going to hit second and trace, which will get me into the calculate function. So second trace, and I am going to select maximum. So I'm going to hit 4. Now, my little cursor is right here, and where I want it to be is at -2, because that's the left boundary. That's the leftmost x value I want to deal with. So I'm actually just going to click on here. I actually clicked pretty accurately. -1.99 is close enough to -2 for our purposes. So go ahead and hit enter. Now it's asking for right boundary, so I want to slide x over till it's 0. Let's see. Yeah, close enough. Basically, the little x over here is where you're at, and these 2 coordinates are where you are on the actual curve. So go ahead and hit enter. And now 2 points are going to be here. This little dot, which actually screwed me up the one time, is this first point, which is not what we're looking for. This box is the point that we're actually looking for, which is right here. For some reason, it's showing it twice. It doesn't particularly matter. Notice that it's basically -1, 1. You do not need to include any of those zeros. I'm not sure actually why the calculator's even giving them to me. So that is our relative maximum between -2 and 0. All right, so that's how you can use Calculate 84 to figure that out. I'm going to go ahead and clear everything out of the calculator because we're going to do it again, but this time we're going to use the equation from problem number 11. All right, so hopefully this time I don't screw it up, and this time there's no parentheses, so we'll see how well I do at that. All right, x to the 5th minus 2x to the 4th. All right, quick double check. Everything's in the right place and graph. Okay, so take a second and just sketch the graph. It doesn't need to be perfect. I'm not asking for perfection. It's just a sketch, part of it, so that when I look at this, if your graph does not look close to this, then it's possible that you just graphed the wrong equation. Okay? So for problem number 11, it says to determine the relative minimum. All right, so I want a low point from 1 to 3. So I'm going to do the same thing I just did. So I'm going to hit second and trace, but this time I'm going to pick number 3. I want a minimum. And I'm looking for x to be, my left boundary for x to be 1. Right now, x is negative 1.4 something. So I'm going to maybe tap over by the origin here and move it just a little bit to the right. Yeah, close enough to 1. And then 3. So I'm just going to scroll to my right until I get to 3 or close enough to 3. And my minimum is right here. Okay, so for the x value, I'm going to use 1.5. If I round that, that's going to turn into 1.6 and negative 2.62. It says to round to the nearest hundredth, so I want 2 decimal places. And that is the relative minimum. All right, so that's what you can do for Calculate 84. I'm going to go ahead and close out Calculate 84. And now I'm going to look at number 12 and number 13, but instead of using Calculate 84, I'm going to use Desmos this time. So let's go ahead and split screen with Desmos. There we go. And Desmos is cleared out, of course. So let's see. I'm going to put this little expression in here. So x parentheses x minus 2 all raised to the 3rd power. And you may need to adjust what you're looking at for your graph depending on your x and y axes. They may be adjusted differently than mine. So do what you need to do. Zoom in. You can always pinch and zoom or pinch and pull, all right, to zoom in and out. And this time we're looking between 0 and 1. Now for Desmos, you don't have to tell it a boundary. What you need to do is look between these 2 points. You can see there's a low point here. I'm assuming I'm looking for a minimum. Okay, yes I am. I wanted to make sure about that. Oh, one other quick thing. You are supposed to graph this, so I'm just doing a quick pinch out so I can actually see what this thing looks like. All right, so it's coming in here, a little bounce here. It's not perfect by any means, all right. Oh, that's actually pretty bad looking. It's okay. All right, so I'm then going to zoom back in to see this low point. I can see there is a low point, a minimum here, but there's no way to really tell Desmos where the boundaries are. What you're going to do instead is select the curve, and you just do that by tapping on it. It'll darken. And there's this little gray point that highlights itself. That's the minimum, all right? Desmos is going to give you that value automatically. So go ahead and tap on it, and now I know that the relative minimum here is 0.5, negative 1.69 if I round it, all right? And that is a minimum. So we've got the curve sketched pretty badly, but again, it's close enough that I understand what's going on there. And then we have the minimum point. So I'm going to hit the double arrow over here to get back my equation, because now I need to clear it out. And I'm going to put in the equation for number 13, the last problem for this page. So negative 2x parentheses x plus 1 times the quantity x plus 3. Okay, so first thing I'm going to do is check to make sure I didn't screw up the graph. I didn't. And what I've been doing to get rid of this is there's a little double arrow over here. If you just tap on it or click on it, it makes that piece disappear. And so you can then see a little bit better what's going on with your graph. All right, I'm going to take a second. I am going to sketch my pretty little graph here. Maybe I'll see if wow, that was awful. Hold on a second. I was about to say, maybe I'll see if I can do it better this time. And apparently I did not the first time. That's a little bit better. All right, and we're looking for a relative maximum between negative 1 and 1. So on my graph here, if I zoom in just a touch more, I get it to pop up. Here's negative 1 and here's 1. We have a maximum here, so I'm going to tap on the curve once. And then I see this little gray point up here. I'm going to tap on that point, and that is now my maximum. So negative 0.45 and 1.26. And that's our maximum. All right. Now, whether you pick Desmos or Calculate 84, it does not matter to me in the slightest. Both of them are going to give you the same information. It's just a matter of which one makes more sense to you. If you have any questions with either of these techniques, or you have other technology that you're trying to use,